Back again. Kwam Yashala. Kwam Bakayum. Rise Israel. Rise elect. You know what I mean? Kwam Bakayum. You know? Rise the elect. Right, let's go. Carry on with this book. Not bad book, man. Costs about 80 quid now to get, man. Put the price up, you know? The Negroes can't get it, man. Invest in this book here, man. There's another man here. You see this brother here? This is what Mozart looked like, man. You know, talk about Mozart, the great Mozart, you know? I'm going to get Beethoven in a minute. I've got some pictures of him there. But this guy here, you read about this guy here, man. Right, it says here, the Chevalier de Saint Georges, yeah? Yeah, that's his name there at the top there. Saint George's, yeah? So he's, you know, he's a saint, another one of our people. And it says here, composer, conductor, violinist, swordsman, equestrian. That means my man can ride a horse, like, you know, and soldier. And it says here, titled persons in France and England in the 3rd period of the 8th century fawned on him. They called him the most seductive of coloured gentlemen. Society hostesses sought his company. That means a white woman. You know what I mean? They sought the Negro man's company in that. Yeah? And it says, sorry man, my diadem need tightening, you know? And it says here, seductive gentlemen. Society's hostesses sought his company and invited him to their homes and their exclusive parties. His handsome presence, for he was 6 feet and well built, his talents, his learning, his refinements were of the quality found in gentlemen of breeding. You know? That means royalty, you understand? Of royalty. And it says here, he fascinated everyone who came into contact with him, his colour being more than often than not an attraction rather than a cause for condemnation. You know, because you know that the royal colour, innit, you know what I mean? To be black, the so-called Negro, you understand? That's the royalty, yeah? To be a pale face is the devil. You know what I mean? That's leprosy according to the Bible, man. We're going to read that. Let's read that first. What happened to Miriam? Let's see what happened to Miriam. What happened to a black woman, man, when she went off. Let's get that. Numbers. Let's find out what colour is royal, man, from the devil. Right, this is Numbers 12:1. And it reads, and Miriam and Aaron. If you know about Miriam and Aaron, Miriam was the older sister of Moses and Aaron. And it says there, and Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married. Because if you know about the law of Israel, we weren't supposed to marry the other nations, man. That's Deuteronomy 7:3, yeah? It says, let's get that quickly. Deuteronomy 7:3, and it says, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Them are the other nations. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy sons from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. So we weren't supposed to make marriages. That's why Miriam and them, well, Aaron must have followed Miriam because she was the older sister, innit? And then we just read on. It said, because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. That's a Cushite, yeah? And it says, they said, have the Lord indeed spoke only by Moses? This is what Miriam and Aaron said to Moses. Has the Lord only spoke by us? Have he not spoken also by us? And the Lord heard. Now, the man Moses was very meek above all men which were upon the face of the earth. I'm sure they said the Lord said Moses is my friend. The Most High said that, you know what I mean? And the Lord spoke suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and to Miriam, come out, ye three, unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. And the Lord came down in a pillar of a cloud. That means that was a chariot. You know what I mean? Come down in a chariot. You know what I mean? And he said, and they stood in the door of the tabernacle, and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I the Lord will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches, and in similitudes of the Lord shall he be held. So the Lord's saying, he ain't gonna come, he ain't gonna visit Moses in no dream. He ain't gonna show no similitudes, you know what I mean, or no dark sayings. He's gonna speak to him mouth to mouth, you know what I mean? One of only a few men. You understand? And it says here, wherefore then, were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? You know what I mean? No, they weren't, because they got proud, you know what I mean? And it says here, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against them, and he departed. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle. And behold, Miriam became leprous. There's that word there, leprous, white as snow. So if you're calling yourself a white person, you're leprous. You got leprosy. And according to the Bible dictionary, leprosy is a disease. And it's not that one where it makes your body parts fall off. No, you're a clean leper. You know what I mean? No pigmentation in your skin. You know what I mean? I think it's called, a plant's got it, and I think it's called, what do they call that again? It helps to restrain and sustain it. I forgot what it's called anyway. And that's why, leprous. So how can a so-called Edomite person be calling themselves royal, when to have leprosy is to be a white person? So the Queen calling herself royalty, the Prince Philip, what's the other one there? They had a baby George, red baby, that red devil baby, they're calling that royal. No thanks. That ain't royal. That's a piece of white doo-doo. You know what I mean? Nothing royal about them, man. Right, and it says here, read about this brother. Yeah? Royalty, that's royalty. You understand? Royalty. Everyone wanted his company. It says here, there is substantial evidence of the pages of European history, ironically enough, of Africans in that area of the globe. It was Israelites here once again. At that time, before and after, who gained positions of respect and a kind of glory in their merits. The Cavalier de St. George's, that's that brother there, Cavalier de St. George's, Cavalier, you know what I mean? The St. George's was one of those favoured individuals. British historian Dr. Kenneth Little saw it fit to write, coloured man who acquired wealth and patronage were received without reservation in the very highest circles. A French mulatto, the Cavalier Georges de St. George's, son of the Marquis de Langley, and a Negro slave, was a personal friend of the Prince of Wales, afterwards George V, George VI, and the champion swordsman of the day. And he was an accomplished rider, skater, and violinist. Once set the fashion in the English courts until at least well on in the 18th century, Englishmen saw nothing extraordinary in the Negro possessing talents equal to their... we mean equal. It was above you, man. You can't do nothing except steal, kill, and rob. Can't buck, can't dance, can't do anything like that. You're the devil. Right, and it says here, what little stopped at saying was that many Africans possess talents. Many Israelites, man. We're not doo-doos. Africans ain't got no talents, man. Except they can flip a doo-doo burger, man. That's what they can do. Possess talents far superior of those others who were fair of flesh. The white boys, that's what they're talking about. Fair of flesh and blue-eyed. Yeah. In fact, one of the most important talents of the fascinating cavalier, and one which, little like some others, bypass, was that the African was one of the major composers in Europe. See? Mozart, man. Right? This is probably Mozart, man. You know what I mean? This is probably Mozart, mate. Yeah? And it says here, was one of the major composers in Europe at the time, when there was many European composers on whom history has bestowed the flame of brilliance and greatness. The liars, man. Everything they got, they stole. The Bach, the Chopin, the Mozarts, the Beethovens, they were all Negroes. Okay? Let's get that straight, man. They were all men of colour. Okay? There wasn't you fucking devils, man. You lying fucking devils, man. That's what you do, man, is you lie to people that you're the great people. This is what you are, man. This is what you are. You're a great faggot, man. A great homosexual, man. This is what you are, man. A great cross-dresser. Alexander the Greek, the freak, was the same, man. This is the spirit what's in you, man. There's nothing great about that, man. Nothing great about these devils, man. Okay? And it says here, right, and it says here, it was one of the major composers in Europe at that time, when there was many European composers whom the history has bestowed the flame of brilliance and greatness. Men like Jean-Marie Leclerc, who was reported to be one of St. George's tutors, Johann Sebastian Bach. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Bach. Them brothers were so-called Negroes, man. Yeah? That Renaissance, you know? Yeah, that Renaissance business what you done, man. Bach, brother, Bach was Johann Sebastian Bach was a Negro. Alright? He wasn't no fucking cracker, man. Get it through your head, man. And it says here, Luigi Baccarini, yeah? Franz Joseph Haydn. If you know about Franz Joseph Haydn, he taught Beethoven. Yeah? And I've got an article I'm going to read to you in a minute about that, yeah? He taught Beethoven. Let's read what the king said about him. It says there, Karl Stamitz, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Johann Christian Bach, and Bach's youngest son, to name some. And they were all Negroes, man. Yeah? All Negroes. See that music where they play, that classical music? That was when we was in power, man. You know what I mean? Royalty, you know? When we was trotting, man, in them royal garbs, mate. But now we ain't nothing but, you know, we're low down, we're down at the bottom. But the Lord said the first shall be last, and the last shall be first, man. So we're in that time, man. Wake up, Negroes, man. Wake up. And it says here, as a violin virtuoso, and more important, as a composer, the Cavalier de St. George's stands alone. Stands alone, mate. You know? Stands alone. You know what it says? Right. This man here. Everything. The man can do anything, man. Ride a horse. He was a great swordsman. He could skate. Compose. Play the violin. That sounds like a Negro to me, man. Yeah? Best at everything. Right, let's read on. And it says here, to have been exceptionally gifted as a violinist and as well as a composer, whom he stood to test of immortality, and whose compositions are being played constantly on the concert platforms of the classical centres and cities of the world. So them tunes what you're hearing on Classic FM, yeah? Them tunes what you're hearing on Classic FM, by this brother here, this Negro brother here. He looked like a brother I grew up with. Yeah? We're the great people, man. And it says here, up until this day, this is here, right? It says, whose compositions are being played constantly on the concert circuit platforms of the classical centres and cities of the world up until this day, would have been more than enough in one person, but not so with the Cavalier de St. George's. Like Imhotep of ancient Kemet, Egypt, he was not only a great father of medicine, but the foremost architect of his time, the prime minister of King Zoser, and worshipped as a prince of peace in Rome. The Cavalier was a man of many talents. He was the most outstanding man in France, and indeed in Britain and the rest of Europe in his time. That sounds like a Negro to me. Best at everything, once again. And it says, not one European came anywhere near him. Yet J.A. Rogers, one of the most prolific researchers, J.A. Rogers, I just had that book, yeah? J.A. Rogers, yeah, a so-called Negro, one of the most prolific researchers and historians on Africans. You see, he was going off a bit there. We're not Africans, man. You know what I mean? I'll keep repeating that we're not Africans, man. You know what I mean? Africans named after Leo Scyphius Africanus, a white man. So you can't be African anyway. Called him dazzling black nobleman of versatiles, and went on in words of the noblest prize. Read on. It says, the adventures of... Take a seat, man. It says here, the adventures of Cavalier de St. George's were so astonishing. His talents were superlatively brilliant. Salakia. That an account of his life reads like an incredible romantic novel with a perfect hero. He was the most dazzling and fascinating feature of the most splendid court in Europe. As a violinist, pianist, poet, musical composer and actor, he was phenomenal. As a swordsman, he was so far eclipsed the best of his time that in the prime none could match him. As a marksman, this man is awesome. As a marksman, none could pull a trigger with such erring aim. As a soldier and a commander, he performed prestigious feats on the field of battle. As a dancer, swimmer, horseman, and skater, he was most graceful. He was the most graceful in the land, supreme for his grace and elegance. In the matter of his dress, he was the model of his day, setting the fashions of England and France. Negroes always do that, you know. We set the trends, man. Not Esau, man. Esau's a homo, man. He dresses up in women's dresses, man. He's a faggot. Yeah. The King of France, a future King of England. The royal princess sought his company, and to crown all he possessed, a spirit of rare generosity, kindness, and rectitude. That's not Esau, man. Esau ain't generous. He ain't got no kindness. He ain't got no soul. He's got a spirit of the devil. But he ain't got no soul, man. This Edomite, this white man, he ain't got the capacity to love, man. You know what I mean? And it says here, today in the papers and journals, whenever and wherever his compositions are recorded or played, the chorus of voices sing his praises. In the New York Times of January 24th, 1982, Donald Hennon, in his article, the composer as Musketeer stated, it is certain that St. George was an exceptional violinist, as well as an athlete and adventurer in the D. Argenton style. He founded and conducted one of France's greatest orchestras and composed stacks of concertos, symphonies and other works. His own concertos make extensive use of the highest positions and required phenomenal agility in crossing the strings and a multiple stopping, often in the quickest of tempos. The dashing composer soldier was a composer virtuoso in a swashbuckling style, man. That's Jake, man. In 1840, a historical novel written by Roger de Beauvoir highlighted the exciting romantic life of St. George's, the Cavalier. This work, though, couched in a novel form, which described as factually reliable, and has been a source of some information to biographers and others in putting the grandiose life of the universal African, that ain't African, once again, Israelites in print. Several other major issues exist, and these two have been examined and utilized copiously in the current work. Before examining the life of the Cavalier in deeper and more minute detail, it is necessary to hammer home yet one more time the greatness of his magnificent, it's got African again, his Israelite Jean-Marie Farquhar, a French musicologist in writings about St. George's and his unique concertos, had this to write. The translation here is by George Whitfield. His contemporaries were in agreement as regarding his elegance, purity, expression, his talent,